So, let's put it this way. They grow my grandmama since I was a child with a white house. Do you know why? In the country of the US, you are so arrogant that you even paid an Ukrainian killer in England, like the Ukrainian smelly horse here from Fresno, a federal prison in LA, at Dolores. We know this in Italy. That's why there's the Roman tribunal already. But we also know about The Hague. Why? They bring back dead babies. Why? To make you joy? To send your psychos? No. 221 was a social... You know when an army guy dies and he gets a little thingy. Okay, that's a social security number for me. That's my experience in the US. Okay? I was a space breaker, tech breaker, science breaker. I had my head bashed in on the ghost lines. Bring me back with a social that had a meaning. The meaning of the nails was the rompicabezza. Now, I'm not going to speak about it because I don't have the pretenses, meaning either in La Sapienza or in Woolwich or in Russia or in Saudi. In other words, called Cerebri, it's old news on the news, the nails. Why they rehashed me as Disneyland? Because after you smashed Jamila's head in on the coastlines, that remained empty. Now, whether Elon Musk goes to Texas or something like that, no one cares. There are scientists behind this shit. I was one of them, and I was one of those leaders. I was famous for the space tech. I wasn't famous at cancer. Cancer is the lowlands. So if you go to Alex Evans in the UN schools and the Club of Rome and the UN, and those people, they'll say to you, still jealous of you, Indios and Antonella Guarnera and the 5-year-olds. Why? Because you didn't do cancer and echo, that's fucking cheap shit. Club of Rome, lowlands. Okay? Cheap shit. You're from Moscow. You used to do the space breaks. In other words, this is old news on the news for the nails. At La Sapienza University, knowledge, and so forth. And there's wisdom beyond ages with the bears. You're assholes in this country. Because if you bring back, after smashing the head of a girl, some genetic graft in genetic freak schools, you speak about it. But you didn't do it yourself, you bitches in the US. You brought back Disneyland from the dead to tell you that you're bitches. Yes! Because there were fucking losses on the coastlines, which are much more than some cheap-ass 9/11 bank that you fucking Mossadian reopened. Banks are ugly. My shit was beautiful. Now, you bring back this girl with no teeth and stuff like that. They call her Roman. In Western Europe, they call it called celeb. It doesn't matter how many motherfucking blessings I have. I don't care for religion. Do you know why? Because I'm not a whore like you. I don't go to church or any religious order. You know why? Because I knew as a child that the original Jamila had her head smashed on the ghost lines, got the social security number Delph of the lowlands of the Bilderbergs, the Holland, the wormhole to the hole. Okay, literally a plumb in time, the number scrunched up, dead fucking head on the coastlines. And I wasn't alone because the flyers and runners were with me. And those bridges in DC on July 20, for instance, are either shut up or shut down. Like in Rome, like in Cairo, Dar es Salaam, like in Russia, like in London. And also like in Warsaw Internationals. And I say internationals. Now, whether the cousin of the father was head of sciences, ministry, or the brother of mother was head of sciences at Warsaw University for 80 years, is like 98 or whatever. That's none of your business. The history of Poland for the last 100 years. Let's rehash some history of the Eastern Bloc 100 years ago. Not in the last 20 years, or 15 years, or 10 years, or even recently now, as we're speaking, Poll exit, Article 7. They didn't get poll exit. They didn't get hung exit, like Brexit, the Brits that can afford it. We have Article 7. Okay? It's unfortunate that you don't know these things. It's unfortunate that you don't understand even basic European history. And it's unfortunate that you're so full of hate. So, either you're retarded or you're just haters. We stick it to haters. But if you're haters, then you're even more retarded. Why? Because on the coastline, that girl was famous for something else. Whether the girl was in Woolwich or with the water creatures or the Navy, you think Navy. She was close to water, but she wasn't a naval officer. She was an intel officer. Okay? So when they say water creatures of July 20th, they were speaking about the Italians, the peninsula, the English. So he's going to say to me that all the Brits are mariners and all the Italians are mariners. They're not. But they are marine people. I mean, are we that mentally retarded? Right. So there was some Navy, yes, but it wasn't what you think. The girl was famous for the intel, not the military. She wasn't military intel. She was intel. Infatti Delft is di nome di fatto Delft. So when they speak about space breaks, they don't speak about the Navy. If they're speaking about some UFO in the water, that's something else. It's still not the Navy. So we can go back to fucking kindergarten. The girl was famous for space breaks. She was famous for tech breaks. And she was famous for science breaks in Western Europe. She came from Russia. She came from Arabia. She has some Turk. She came from, she was born in Rome and she went to school in Western Europe in England. Then she came to the US. Okay. She was born with 7 passports and a UNID. She was a flyers and then a runners, and then she died and she came back like me. And I have been ghosting that girl ever since. Okay? You smashed my head in on the ghost lines. I'm like the Jehovah Witness of that girl. Okay? So I'm not saying I'm not intelligent, or even not intelligent. I'm just saying I'm not that girl. That's why they speak about the nails as old news on the news. July 20 is the dead one. The intelligence of Jamila was killed so badly on the coastline that this is what you have left over. Disneyland. You will never reopen my buildings in the US, ever. And in Western Europe, this is it. The cause celebre is because it's all over the world, it's global. You want to call me Bin Laden, you're welcome. You can say that I was Bin Laden and prove I'm still Bin Laden. Maybe I should become Bin Laden now and just fucking bomb you because you're fucking retarded in the US. But I won't. I'll do something else. I'll do something much worse than bomb you. We have already done in the CIA the Mermaid long ago because they could see that those crimes on our slides. We have already seen that with the plum hats and the scientists. Or some bomb for 9/11. We've already seen that on the ghost lines. We know what Jamila did. I'm not Bin Laden. I'm not going to be Bin Laden. That's already void. It's already happened in the intel communities, which means I'm here for a blimp in and blimp out. If you know what that shit was, good. I'm trying to explain to you and you're still fucking calling me names and sending me your cycles. What was Jamila famous for in Western Europe, where she was born and raised? Of course I'm called celeb. If at La Sapienza Knowledge and in Woolwich and they said, BBC Channel 4 and Messaggero, bring back Disney, They smashed in her head. That shit's empty. Why you bring me back? The blues and pink. They managed to make blues out of her. Where? Ubermensch. In other words, what was killed on the ghost. Now you see why in Washington DC on July 20, your bridge are connected. The CIA archives there, they shut down that. You could still walk on that bridge. It doesn't open for the big ships, only the small ships. And the archive was closed in that bridge for the CIA. It was used to be a CIA archive. And the books, it was basically a CIA base. They shut down that bridge, July 20. Look at the dates. I know it was the Atlas Bridge, one of those bridges. One of the big ones. When I was in Rome, between Mariangeli and the others at the high school, when I was in London and other places, they were speaking about this bridge in DC, this bridge in London, this bridge in Rome, this bridge in Russia, this bridge in Cairo, this bridge in Warsaw International. And in Warsaw International, it's a hostel, a square hostel, okay, with a grey bridge, not pink, it's a hostel. And the grey is all shut up. Now, this is old news on the news with the nails. It's not something new. It's already happened. That girl already had her head bashed in on your ghost lines. I came back as Disneyland and you're still fucking retards. The girl was a flyer. Okay, she was a flyer with others around the world. She was doing her shit and then her runnings and that's it. Of course, at the same time, the girl was thinking of her parents who live and retire. Well, live. The retirement is life. In Fresno. The father and mother were born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities. Their directorates, D1s. So, work. Okay? Oxford is USA. Yeah. At young ages, the pioneer comes at the age of, think Noros Piasecz, okay? In the Arctic. Child was born in the capital city, Rome. That's it. After you smashed in that poor girl's head with sulfuric acid, like it's a fucking prophecy, which for us in 221 was a plumb in time. That the blessings were abroad, not here. And so they called the child Junior. The problem with you is that you don't understand that if that Intel had its head smashed in on those lines, it means those buildings are not going to reopen. Not in La Sapienza, not the new math, not the sciences and the space science. Now, it happened that when you're in the UN or in Woolwich, there's other corporations. The girl is a fucking phenomenal in science. They're going to stick in cancer, which is more like the lowlands, okay? So if you're speaking about science breaks, that was me. If you're speaking about, and blues and pink, it's all from mountains, I don't want to speak about the Rompigabissa, about Bruno. So, of course, there is the Scotland film to stay out of this country. So when you speak to me about Intel, and I say, well, I am sort of Italian, but I'm not exactly myself. Shit, what ugly people. You're ugly inside and you're ugly outside US. To be hated to the point where you send psychos after me because I'm Disneyland gives you power as females to feel. And in San Francisco, not even Fresno. I thought you were the scientist. Unfortunately, those professors, for your cheapos ass information, are on my side in Woolwich and in Italy, including cancer. So when they say what's mine is mine, and you smash that on the ghost lines with bridges, it means what's mine is mine. And the next time you find some bitch in the US who can reopen my buildings around the world, so after you smash my head in on the ghost lines, let me know. Because no country would have done that. I am a genetic replacement child. Do you understand that? And they call me Disneyland Indios. Has your brain in America figured it out yet or not? Because everybody else on the fucking planet is making cause of error out of the social security number Delft 221 Holland. Lowlands. While you sitting there, after the smashed in head, thank you. While you sitting there being an asshole. Now, I don't care what I say anymore. You can't get worse than that. No, you can't. You can't have worse than that. You can't have a girl have her head smashed on the ghost lines and come back as Disneyland. Have the mermaid and the ship fall down, come back like this, it's not even me, just with the eyebrows, and nails and all that shit. And in the UN, you have the genetic freak schools with Ubermensch, pink and blues. Yeah. So, that's. In other words, you're not dealing with Intel anymore with the Disney. You're dealing with people who hate. In other words, I am seeing the wrath of the masses. I'm not seeing the wrath of Intel. The wrath of Intel already emptied everything else, continued with Ubermensch in Western Europe. The boys, the guys, lose. They never bring back genetic unless something happened on the coastline. You smashed the head in of that girl. Obviously, we got the hair. Now, we're not going to speak about the hair. It's pointless. Okay? So you are losing it because you're not one of them. In fact, you're not even me. You're yourself. So when the social security number 221 showed up, Delft, the lowlands, Western Europe and another country, she was really famous for her intel before. When you smashed her, she became known. Disneyland. So it doesn't take like a genius to figure this out. Having said that, you hated that girl so much that you even sent psychos So you're showing to me that whatever happened on the coastlines means nothing to you, and we should, even the Disney version of that, because you don't understand McVariant to Bochron, the analogy from high school even. So I look at you, and you see, I'm going to say I never liked the military. Why? I'll explain it to you. Because a lot of people in the military are just fucking bitches. So a lot of you see me and you think that, okay, now we can abuse her. Okay, so they sent the Roman Tribune. I don't give a fucking shit about your fucking personal fucking tattoos up your ass and your 5 fucking ex-bras. Keep the fuck away from Disneyland, US. You can take your fucking drugs and you can drink your 200 kilos of fucking liquor. Keep the fuck away from Course Celebre 221. After you smashed my head in on the coastlines and I'm a genetic Disneyland replacement. I don't give a shit for your 5 kids from 5 different fathers. I've been waiting for this. I can't take this shit anymore. You want to make a fucking prostitute out of the kid? Because what? She doesn't deserve to be alive, Course Celebre. Oh my, connect the dots, scroll bowels in 80 countries and 25 states. You smashed her head in on the coastlines and there's shit that's empty as per sciences because she was a fucking phenomenon. What the share of the millennia 221? We're not in your fucking Bible, you fucking bitches! And I'm supposed to be what? The Disneyland mentally retarded replacement of the girl with no teeth? The ghost child? After you smashed my head in on the coastlines? I'm not me, you bitch. Oh, me. In other words, after smashing the girl's head in on the coastlines, it's what we call real. Come back as Disneyland. As for the uncomfortable truth of the parents, forget it. In other words, to keep it probably colloquially on Facebook, and so when the world see this, when they see a father and a mother born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities, and they have a child that's a phenomenon in space science in the United Nations and in Western Europe, born that way, then she fucking dies and she becomes a piece of meat. On the coastlines with the Course Celebre, sort of a mountain smashing head. So they make out of her a genetic graft. Me. They bring her back and they said you did something historic. Old news on the news around the world. The nails. In other words, these nails are old. Okay? And they could see it coming. They could see that the original Jamila was going to have her head smashed in California's coastlines. And you never gave a fucking shit. Because to you, nothing is worth anything but sweat. So you hire psychos. Ukrainian here, Ukrainian there, and the whole shit. Not bad. From Fresno, of course, because why would you? San Francisco diverge from anything than that, like at the homeless center at Dolores. And so forth and so forth. And so, why they spoke about jealousy and like you bitch. You don't deserve to fucking be alive, and you people. No, I deserve to be alive, but you smashed my head in on the ghost line. Therefore, I'm going to say to you that you're the ones who don't deserve to be alive. This is intelligence speaking. This is not just me. Do you think that? Hold on there. If you think that I'm the one who invented this shit, well, no. All I'm going to say to you is this. Are you going to hurry up with this shit or what? No. I don't invent this stuff. I don't invent smashed in heads and intelligence. You say the presidents. Okay. And I say to you, even the fucking president didn't know what those girls were doing and boys, mostly boys, on the ghost lines. The flyers and runners. Presidents don't fucking have a clue what those, especially if they're space breakers and science breakers. She's working on it. So in other words, you're just being retards. So this would be well, that's fuming. Good, keep fuming. Come on, fuming now. So they brought back Disney. In other words, the only reason Pink Ass is alive after you smashed her head in all of those lines, Sleeper, That Baby in London and Rome and Western Europe and Russia and Saudi Arabia and the Dar es Salaam neighbors all mine. They're true Crowleys. No Crowleys. Crowleys and the yeah, for the Barons, you know what I'm saying? At a Fresno, when I wasn't working there, and that was their retirement. When I was working there, this young was saying something else was happening there for the Barons. And with the high benches, Laura Quintus, and Andrew Rex, I heard a big with DOJ. As for me, I was on the cruise lines again before I worked. That's why I had to be connected to those globals. Even if I had my head down on the cruise lines. To figure out the relics of that girl in the genetic freak schools of the UN, maybe their chief, those asses will start thinking again. The only problem with miracles is this, that if the girl actually had her head smashed on the ghost line, she can't reopen her buildings. Ubermensch don't open buildings. Ubermensch are killers. See, they understand the difference between them. Yeah, we're back in the 1950s with the Germans trying to explain to them that Ubermensch can't be the original girl. Especially if the girl had her head smashed in on the Let's go back to the No. What news on the news with the nails? Señora mía global. You guys speak about 221 Delft, Lowlands, all that. You know what? US, I'm in San Francisco. You're useless. Now you've been calling me a retard. You've been abusing me. Now it's my turn to go on Facebook and tell you to your face why there's a Scott landfill. Stay out of this country. My ilk and my parents, but I ain't bet your Lord with this night. I'm blind. And then the fucking rollies of me. Out. You're gonna feel good about your tits and ass and your fucking degrees, your papas and your mamas. Keep your fucking drugs. Keep your fucking whores. I've seen enough. Not I even tried a little bit of marijuana at the age of 50. There's an amount of tea. Sick fucking 3 days. Vomiting the whole shit. I only have 147 to 221 left of geological rebirth in the genetic freak schools. There are genetic freaks in those schools. Shut the front door and walk. Otherwise, you're talking about Intel, and I'm ghosting myself as Disneyland. Of course, every motherfucker is calling me Disneyland. They're on the planet. They got the guys are what? Woo! Woo! What was that? But cigarette puller. In other words, that girl had already, you see, those guys had already fallen with her in the UN. They had fallen with her in the CIA because she was with them. She was very strong. You know, fly! This is not the regular Ubermensch running. Okay? This is the running of the breakers. So obviously it's not in a microchip. It's not that this girl was carrying a microchip or her ass. Maybe now I could. If you give me a microchip now or AI, then maybe yes, I could be carrying it on me. I wouldn't even know I'm carrying it on me. What kind of fucked up retards are we dealing with? In other words, you're assholes. And the fact, because it was too many times, there was too many flyings. Now on the flyings, 92, 92 and above, it's okay. Because on the flyings, you have, that's it, around the world. On 85, that many times, it's too many times, US, when you're running and flying. Sure, so flying it up. You know, I already knew that I was going to die. Because the guys in Europe and elsewhere, we already had predicted that that poor girl was going to die. That she was, and we even predicted that she was going to die bad. We're speaking about one shootout here. We're speaking about, sulfurized brain and teeth and the whole shit. Now, those guys could see it coming. Man, there was a mermaid. There was a water ship down, the whole ship, submarines all over the world. And that's what we call the nails. After this all had happened around the world, this nails came out, and you sat there, and you sat there, You don't deserve anything big. Of course, that was it. That's jealous. Solo que around the guy or envy. Now for the back. So, yeah. Now, if you look at the intelligence in Fresno, wow, the language is large way to the rest of any environments. You see why they can trust you. Why? Because the girl was already dead. I mean, I had already had my head bashed in on the ghost lines. I was not getting anything out of this shit. Sorry, home gear, you know. And while you were... Oh, man, I'm fat. So, as I was saying, to make things about 50 years old, as I was saying, I'm not running for Miss Beauty. If I wanted to be beautiful 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day as a gymnast, I would. If I wanted to dress up like a bitch, I could. If I wanted to lose weight in a split second after being to 80 countries and 25 states and putting on a dress, I would. And I did many times throughout my life. But the reason, if I wanted to shave, which I didn't shave all my life, even if they gave me injections on my chest and my body as a gymnast, 8 hours a day training as Disneyland. If I wanted to be attractive, I would, but I'm not. Do you know why? Because you're insanely jealous and you're bitches in the US. And you depressed me to the point that even if you had smashed my original head on the ghost lines and I was a ghost of that girl around the capital cities, you still hated me. Therefore, that's why I didn't take care of my feminine aspects of culo and titty and trying to be elegante. You understand that? I just found it to be a little, superficial. And so when you speak about superficial eyelashes on the ghost lines with blonde hairs, it's not exactly the same as superficial tits and ass. That's what I'm going to fucking tell you, because I've had enough of this shit around the world and back that many motherfucking times in my quarters and metropolis. With people who are in fucking pajamas in London and Rome, who've been around speaking about a dead baby, let alone the barracks. You're sick! Of course I connected the dots with bowels. I had to. Should I still have some brain? Jesus Christ, with a bunch of assholes. And you see, this is why you will never learn in life that what intelligence does cannot be comparable to your shit, your ass. In other words, when I tell you that intelligence either changes the world for the better, concretely, or for the worse, concretely, they're saying what it is. Intelligence isn't a navy. Okay, that's not intel. That's war. That's something else. War is, you go to war, you have weapons, you're killing masses, you're killing your own masses, you're dying. Okay? Intelligence is different. It depends what it does. You can have intel in the military, sure. But if you're speaking about space breaks and science breaks and all that shit, well, that's something else. That's intelligence. So if that dies, they can close down the La Sapienza and other parts of these mathematics or physics or other sciences. That they did. And that they were speaking about on BBC, Channel 4, and Messenger. That's old news on the news, the nails. So in the UN, where both parents are directorates, D1s, born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities, for Austria, TCY, USA, 96, 180 countries, 140 countries work, humanitarian relief services. I was born in genetic schools after you smashed my head in on the science. And I came back as Disneyland. I swiped 221. Death. Now, the way you behaved in America towards me, it's not a question on your behavior. Fuck, you have psychos. We even have the Roman tribunal just to boot for the extra bitches here. I'm sorry, US. And they knew this long ago. Why? Because they know who you are. You know what type of people you are. And that you're doing it on purpose. If you are doing this on purpose, to a dead baby who had a significance in the world of intelligence. And then this meaning, and then she doesn't exist and she comes back as Disneyland. It means to the intel communities that the US is not only stupid, you're just assholes. You're hoes, you're bitches, you're jealous even of a dead baby. That's what's known already. So, go to change that in 80 countries and 25 states? No, because there's too many people on the planet who know of that girl, who've seen that girl, who've met the original Jamila, who've met the original space breaker and science breaker around the world. In Western Europe, where she was born and raised, in the UN, in London, in Russia, in Arabia, is where she comes from, her blood. And in the UN, of course. They know it. So when you smash my head in on the ghost lines, courtesy of America, I came back as Disneyland, and we have the Skogland film to stay out of this country. Because I'm not exactly her, but I had negatives somewhere, and nobody knows how. So as I said, one man's trash is somebody else's treasure. That's US. You're starting to see who you are now. Your hatred. The one who just got slit. And so when you go and have a PhD and you publish your beautiful books and articles, make sure you're not breaking space and science like I was. And when you smash the head of that girl and I came back like this, make sure the rest of the world don't know it with 221 Delft number to Bilderberg. And when you say that was the big one, and she's Russian Arab and we hate them, make sure that we stick in that too about the Americans. In the 21st century, after all of the stupid times. Wonder why they brought back some degenerated Disney version of that girl back to life. Would you know? I think I'm not thick as shit, had my head bashed in on ghost lights. I still got a hole in the wall. Western Europe, I am. US. Well, back was Titanic and the mermaid shit going on, all news on the news with the nails around the world. By the way, US, what about the Italians and the Brits who fell with Milos Vincent? I thought you were still working. Why did they agree with the girl? Just with me, asshole. By the way, this paper extension of a child to help the parents. Assistance. Do you have any feeling? Is there any fucking reaction from you in San Francisco? First of all, you're all fucking a bunch of assholes in the UA. And get your shit together in California. Mommy, what a bunch of assholes. And they're bitches. Then you wonder why people have divorces. Give yourself. Hey, look at me, hey. You know what they say about Papa and Mama? Ma, I've never seen such a couple. I dream of having a Baba and a Mama like yours. They loved each other for so long, not only stupid time. I know that. Speak about power games? Where's the power games, you bitch ass? Move! Keep moving! Assholes. I've never seen such a bunch of assholes in my life. No, darling. I only have 147 to 221 as social security number. I will not be reborn in the high school. I won't exist. No stupid times. And I can tell you this. You don't deserve my intelligence, obviously, because you smashed my head in on the ghost lines, and those guys had a fixation and a concept of that girl in Italy and in Western Europe. Those are fucking phenomenal. If she dies, we'll go down. That already happened, mermaid. That's all news on the news, cioè. Questa va passato remoto, Fuck you, US. Gaga pretends that that shit's gonna open for your ass. Not even the shit in the environment. You know why? Because the girls did other shit. Of course. They always stick in some environment. Yeah. For those, yeah. For that, it's the ilk or kind of type. Oh, yeah, this is useless. Exactly. What about the father and the mother? Because I don't see you having parents born in pioneer counties beyond the capital cities, directorates of Offshore TCY USA. Are those your parents? No. And I am Disneyland, correct? After you smashed in my head and on the ghost line. What a country. My ilk and my kind of intel shouldn't be here. We should just move out, huh? What about the Skogland film? That's why, in my eyes, it's not a question. If you are the best and you have your head smashed in on the coastlines and you come back like this, and then you still have psychos after you, most people in Western Europe and other countries are going to look at the US like, oh, celeb 221. Fuck, if it's the number 221 dove of the Lolas with an L, you know what they in Western Europe? They'll say, in the UN and other places, you know what they say? Give her all the blessings. Opus Dei, this. The British in a circle sticking their head in there, that was something else. For that girl alone. Genetics. You have now figured out why you hate Disneyland, US. That's all news on the news. Will you drop your fucking shit, assholes? And we're staying in Rome for retirement. The parents and me. We're staying out of your country for this cheap shit. Fresno, you should have bombed ages ago for the parents. Ages! Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Shoulda. We could go back to elementary primary school gym with Antonella Guarnera, the scout trainer. We could go there at the age of 5. Italian National Federation of Gymnastics set it up to me. Not just for health, because I'm an angels retard. We can go back to any parts of Western Europe. Who knows that the original girl had her head bashed in on the coastlines and that shit's empty. And space sciences and your shit, yeah. Technology. It don't come in microchips. It comes in. So if you smash the head in, what you get? Well, you could have some blues in Western Europe, where I was born and raised. You could have some pink. What I'm saying is, if you smash the head of somebody on the ghost lines, they can fall with you. And that was the CIA. Because they had the intel before. So what they're going to do if she dies? They're going to fall. They're going to get the plum heads. Because they didn't have the intel she had. But when she died, they lost the intel. So somebody has it. They ain't showing it with the buildings. Those buildings are empty. This is shit. And I'm not speaking about Elon Musk building. No, I'm speaking about our buildings in Massachusetts, in ESA, and in NASA. Our shit that you killed on those lines. In Megagalacticshire, the Shedden Bridge, July 20, the birthday, man, so I plus bring it. Every bridge that I've seen, my head, shut ups everywhere, yeah, and what am I? Well, you were the leader and your head was super retarded. And so what am I? What is Disneyland around the world? Of course, celeb. She is the famous girl who died that way and came back to Disneyland. And you hate her. And she's famous for that. Space breaks and science breaks in Western Europe, where she was born and raised from other countries, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Turkey. This is you. This is you, US. The British were intelligent because they made negatives out of the UN, the Italians, and the Germans being fixated with that space shit. I say, well, there goes the balloons. Massive that's the balloon. What about the parents? In other words, if I do all the flyings and I all do all the runnings, and you see it coming like a freight train in California, you see that shit's going to be emptified, or they're falling down with plum heads on the ghost lines. I'm going to go to my death at the end of 85. I was to be on the ghost line. There she goes, Sulphur Mountain, hit the head, I didn't even itch. She come back like Disneyland, and now she's doing the crawls. And the birds are still at Fresno retirement. It's called Glenn Film. Look at your assholes. And when you compare yourself to intel around the world, or within the CIA, which is something that you do because you are insanely jealous and envious fucking retards who don't know how to control your bitches and assholes in the US. Shut up! I've seen up to your filth! I've seen your filth on the coastlines, then I come back. Then Disneyland has to see your filth, probably, you know, the 5X bras and the whole shit with the boyfriend. Then you even have the psychos. Let me put it this way. I'm a nice person. I've been in 80 countries and 25 states, but when I see assholes and bitches, I will rat your ass out from the other side of one continent. Even Disney will do that. In other words, I have kept my mouth shut for too long, okay? They're making noise about the dead baby abroad. With the Hague, the Bureau de Veritas, being serious. You are adding your cycles. They're being serious. They're adding the Roman tribunal. You killed the baby in a blip of time. Another blimp, let's say 1472221, another 2 slots here or with your Ukrainian hero there that you paid the cycle. We will give you a second Hague or the highest level of the Roman tribunal for assassination of Disney for intel. Disney. And because you already smashed that girl's head in on the coastlines with those beautiful buildings, including some biomass, that girl was famous for space science. La Sapienza, Woolwich, these other countries have their own sciences. That's what's empty in the UN. In La Sapienza University, for sciences, in space sciences, in mathematics, the new stuff, the physics. Exactly, NASA. This new matter, that is what Jamila was. You smashed her head and she was good at science. And so, of course, she did a bit here and there. She did some biomath, which would have included, for instance, Johnson, Pfizer, and the other shit. People are more interested in the Polish, more lowland bioeco. And I'm thinking, that's not what I used to do in the UN. I used to do space science. Basta! For the parents, their jobs. Of course, they're dark. By any account beyond the capital cities. They are D1s. Humanitarian relief services. Okay? All through the USA, 160, 180 countries, 140 countries work. So they're on the helicopters, dropping aid. Okay? There's Red Cross, there's many of them, many departments. That's in the UN. But there's other, in that, all through the USA. That's the names of those departments. For the father and the mother, exactly. And pioneer champions at the young age. What the fuck they go to Fresno? Why you hurt them? Why did you hurt my dad on retirements? Why did you hurt my mom? You killed them. My father had an injection at the age of almost 76 in the lower part of his stomach here. He didn't have a name, yeah? And my mother was taken at 80 with a fake obituary to Poland to Russia with the rule of law and handed direct. Now, I grew up in elementary primary school with Lara Quintus and handed direct at the age of 5 as my best friends. So why did the baby come back, the dead baby from the ghost lines, to tell to the US, you're all idiots and haters and stupid bitches, and no PhD is going to reopen that shit of Jamila. And no, we didn't like the Mossad either. And no, you reopened some of those banks of 9/11, the fucking ugly banks, and so forth. You have proven to the world's US that my kind of intelligence should stay out of this country with the empty buildings, because no one will reopen them because that girl's dead. The shit that happened with 221 is old news on the news with the nails around the world. 221, Delft, Lowland, Netherlands. Old news. The blues and pink is old news. Unchangeable. And because it's unchangeable, you hate me. And you want to hurt the parents. It's not a question of not liking J-Lo Gonzalez. It's a question that you are not normal inside. You are not normal inside. Because instead of saying, that's a dead baby and we have to help the parents, you're like, well, if they continue without her and she's dead, there's also jealousy and envy locally. So they're looking at the US and California, between San Francisco, people that live in San Francisco, the assholes and the people in California, and saying you're assholes and bitches. Quite frankly, I'm not the one saying it. The whole fucking world is. So, literally, on my crawlies and electric crawlies, whether it's the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods, whether it's the capital cities for the parents, in those agencies, on the crawlies and electric crawlies, during their retirements, or somewhere else. Okay, like the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods, or some other friends or whatever. Okay? Is that understood, US? The child is here for a blimp of time. Literally, that's what they said. 221 Delft, that piece of paper. A blimp in time. She's not coming back. She's already dead on the ghost line. She's already had her head bashed in. This is a replacement child. This is a tripod child. She's not coming back. You already massacred her head on the ghost line. That shit was the bridges with the others with the plum hats. That's the nails. That's the old news on the news. That's the mermaid, the Titanic. You don't like it? Nobody cares. Because if that girl was flies around the world and runs around the world doing her shit, her own shit, and at the same time, knowing that most likely she's going to die on the ghost lines in a way that's irrecuperable, draw the line in the sand, and that's not the father and the mother in Fresno, then you know that girl loved her family, her father and mother, more than anything. You know that. You already know that. She wasn't a careerist. She wasn't a bitch like you trying to get a fucking thing on her fucking her uniform. Jamila wasn't like that. So when you smashed that girl head in on 221, she got the Oppenstein, the fucking cat, the fucking Europeans, the Germans, the Haufen, the Wallach International. Shut your fucking jealous face. And you sent psychos after the girl? Stick in the Roman tribunal. If they kill me here, it's a second Hague. You are gonna learn. We are gonna be cloning things from now on. We're serious. We're fucking. You did that shit on the Ghost Lines. We are going to be doing nails. And you're gonna learn, you motherfucking bitch, how to behave in the US. If your brain can fucking empty that shit like I did, once her head was bashed in on the Ghost Lines, you're welcome. Can you do that, fucking geniuses in San Francisco? In sciences? In space tech? Do that shit on the Ghost Lines. Can you empty that shit on the Ghost Lines in NASA and ISA? And the space shit of that girl? Can you even get that shit on the lowlands open? Good. I thought so. Now, you want to kill Disneyland? Come on. Keep on the cycles. We have the Roman tribunal. Elon Musk's children or family, when South Africa came to Rome, like Shinoa Butter, she spoke about satellite kids or something like that. I was for free in school. And St. George's was for free and St. Stephen's was for free. Having said that, even elementary, primary, and college, of course, college was paid for free even if I was brain dead. Listen to this. Don't start. Yeah, we know about the blues. We know about the crumbs. I'm there. Where near me, the original, the Baron, there's somewhere else. Having said that, there's something behind that girl other than those guys. I want to say. You are disgusting people, okay? Disgusting. Because no, you're doing it on purpose. You are now having the mentality in the US. No, it's not thuggery. Your mentality is hate. It's not a question only of your personal experiences. Exactly. So you lose, okay? There's no point. There's no point in bringing agents in for the girl. You can continue connected those globals. You can have the Plum has. You can have some agents show up, sure, the ones who knew her and others. We're trying to stay in Rome for retirements with the Scotland film. 147 to 221. That's all the geological rebirth I have left to tell you that with the Scotland film. And the reason you were so nasty, and that's not even mentioning Fresno for the parents, the Crawleys and little Crawleys. The amount of flies, the amount of runnings, the amount of Crawleys, little Crawleys out of Fresno to those capital cities of me during their retirements. There are normal people. There's intel, there's higher intel, there's that. There's the pioneer accounts beyond the capital cities intel, what do you want to call it? There's the, there's the D1s, directorates, the jobs for the father and mother, humanitarian leave service, there's a science part for the child. You cannot contain your hate for a lookalike child that already the original girl had her head smashed in on the Ghost Lines. A piece of fucking paper 221. That's the nails. There's old news on the news around the world. I don't see your pretenses with the Plum has around the world. If you already have that piece of paper, you already smashed that girl's head in, and you already know what you did on the coastlines. So, if there is relics of that girl, because she was a phenomena that became Fifi Phoenix, then we stay in Rome for retirement. You know about the blues. There must be, but there's somewhere else. And this baby. Scotland film. That's it. No more. What's out there is out there. I can't change it. I can't change what they know. I can't change what is known around the capital cities. Messieurs, mademoiselles with their beautiful titties and asses. But you're doing it on purpose. You're taunting Disneyland. At the beginning of the number, you know why they were saying it's so important that was crap? Because they know you bitches and assholes in California. They know it. The whole fucking world knows. That's why they were saying. at the beginning of the number, she's a tough crowd, even if she's a different person, she's a tough crowd. Every time she became yum, 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 yum. Which is bad enough on the chorus. That's bad enough also. 2, or whatever. We get the idea. You are losing. You see, for you, it doesn't matter because every day you have your own lives. There's 9 billion people on this planet. And I agree with you. But of those 9 billion people on this planet, who is who does and who is who doesn't? Who is who actually changes things for the better, or those who change things for the worse because they die and have their head smashed in? All of a sudden you got a little evil. So this is what we call a product of stupid times, okay? Me, myself and I. Especially if you smash the girl head in on the ghost lines. So there are people out there who've known this for a long time, with the Nails and others around the capital in the UN, in Western Europe, in Woolwich, the inner circles, and others. Stop being jealous of everything, even of a dead baby who only has a blimp in time. Because if you cannot understand this, even from a degenerate Disney version of that girl, any fucking child around the capital cities, it means you're assholes. Just for that part. That's not even mentioning the parents. That's not mentioning the amount of lies beyond the libraries. 92 and above. The run, and how many runnings they divide. Aboves, and behinds, yes. And the amount of crawlies of male little ones that we say on tops. Why we say on tops? I was thinking about that. It is behinds for the dad. On the mom, it's a little bit on the ground. It's behinds, also the crawlies for the dad, and on the ground though. And on the ground to the mom, to the side, okay? There's a little alley, because they get to Poland. Okay, they get it to Poland, to another country, and then to Russia, with the rule of law. And then there's the mountain, okay? And the Washington, D.C. is at the bottom of the mountain. And in front of the library, there is a Black Lives Matter Black Baptist church, which I went in, and they say rejoice is downstairs, 2 floors, out of respect for the parents, because it's not a question of racism. Of course, Fresno may have racism, but there's a bunch of bitches. So when you bring back Vanessa, I'm so jealous. Vanessa, she looks like a freak with her 18 fingers. She's beautiful though. Kirkland is in. Annika, her sister, I can't, but that's something else. So they got weird legs and stuff like that. Have you ever seen them? Their other genetics. They were the ones who were telling me when I was 5 years old that they're just regular Ubers, and that the child broke space and science. And when she had her head smashed on the coastlines of the United States, those buildings at La Sapienza, Western Europe, were selected to one, the Opus Dei, the whole shit, the blessings was because she had her face smashed on your coastlines with teeth and everything. So that hate towards the original Jamila 221, you made it look rosy. And those people in 80 countries and 25 states who know what the girl did 221 with Rosie all over the world, it's all news on the news, the Nails, are looking at the US like you are a mentally retarded whore. Okay. The Jew and bitch is an ass with the man. That shit then emptified at La Sapienza and other places and continued with the Plan S. And I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Connected those clubs? Shit, they're calling me Bin Laden. Maybe I should have been Bin Laden. Wouldn't have been better. And this whole shit is going on and on and on and on in Western Europe. This is all news on the news just for the baby. And then you come up knowing that Disneyland only has a blimp in time and she only has a... So we have the psychos, we cycle with the psycho-Ukrainian here, psycho-Ukrainian. So we have all the security and stuff like that just for that. But it's not only secure because then they want to use it. In other words, my life was worth nothing on the coastlines, and they think you're crazy. And you have the Hague, the Bureau de Veritas, and the Roman Tribunal to boot for your fucking assholes and bitches. So we have that. if you want to kill me again, I think they'll have a second Hague. Because this girl is what they call the Disney version of Jamila. And so that's why I don't like comparisons. I'm telling you, if you are the best, then shut your fucking face. Because I shut my face and I still got my head smashed in on the ghost lines. Literally. And that's not the father and the mother either. In Fresno. If you ask Natalie Direct, if you ask Brussels, if you ask DC, the Supreme Court of Laura Quintus, who I grew up with in Rome, why are you defending the father and the mother? Why are you winning? And you know what they'll say to you? Because they win everything. You know what they say to you? They'll say, in the intelligence communities, all the flyings, all the runnings, and all the growlies. You know what they'll say to you? You retarded piece of shit. They'll say to you, we're not giving you an answer. We're defending the father and the mother. And that's it. In the intelligence communities, if you do that many flyings and runnings, that's what you get. Now, the reason I had to connect the dots globals was for me. But those guys help by extension, like Woolwich and others. Why would, watch it this way, why would Laura Quintus be born with me and I go elementary, primary school since I was with her, since I was 3, 4, 5 years old, 6 years old all my life, middle school and high school? What about Natalie Direct? Why is it that I am with the Supreme Court justices in the same class since childhood in Rome? And she's born in Rome in the same, and she's born in the Vatican like me. And she go back to DC and becomes this big shot Supreme Court. From Princeton, Harvard, and Yale. Okay. Quint. You know, like Quint, like the TV anchor man. The head there. You know? So you start using your fucking brains for once in your life, or you fuck off. You fuck off. You fuck off with your fucking bitches and assholes. Fuck off. And as for Fresno, you should have fucking bombed that place with the parents and the others. Or space bombed. And if you don't understand me, you'll understand the t-shirts, the cats, the dogs, the birds, and the whole shit. Gonna go back to kindergarten if you have to. Goodbye. No. This is not even news, asshole. Fuck you.